Welcome back to the Mike and Andrew Show. I'm Andrew Sorek here tonight with Mike Meredith and Ian High is with us. Guys, how are you guys doing tonight?
Doing good, man. Another good episode. Glad to have Ian back on here.
Yeah, I'm doing great. It's like Mike said, it's good to be back. So, ready to get this rolling.
Yeah, we got a lot to discuss tonight. Thursday Night Football about to kick off here in a few minutes, so we're going to kind of keep our eye on that. We have a lot to talk about, so this is going to be a pretty long one. But let's get right into it, previewing the rest of this weekend's games. First thing starting off, the Falcons and the Jaguars are playing each other. Falcons going on the road to Jacksonville. Jacksonville's a 3-point favorite. And actually, no, this is the London game. So both teams traveling out to London for this. I'm gonna take Atlanta in this one. Actually, Jacksonville's been struggling a lot as of late. The offense hasn't been going. And that said, it's like the complete opposite for Atlanta because they have just been rolling on offense, except for last week against the Lions. But yeah, I'm taking Atlanta in this one.
Yeah, so for me, man, this is so tough because the Jaguars should be better than they've been doing, but they just haven't been that great. I think Atlanta is going to bounce back too this week. Jacksonville, I'm pretty sure always plays the London games. They're like one of the teams that's always involved in the London games. So definitely some advantage there, but I think the Falcons are going to just win this game as well. Come out and try and lock up the NFC South.
Yeah, as much as I'd like to think the Falcons might come out and win this one, Desmond Ridder didn't look all too good against the Lions. And that's saying something. We all know the Lions defense, they're marginally improved, but they're still not the greatest. And the fact that they held them to, no touchdowns, across the board, rushing and passing, I don't know. I kind of like the Jags on this one, but I can see it going either way. But I think I'll take Jacksonville on this one.
And Mike, back to your point real quick. Yeah, Jacksonville has played in almost every single game in London. It's basically a second home field for them at
Yeah.
this point.
Yeah, and they are hosting, so,
Right,
shocker.
yeah, shocker. And they have a game there next week too. So,
Oh, do they?
yeah, they play two games in a row in London. So Jacksonville might have a big advantage considering jet lag next week. But that's next week.
Yeah.
We'll get into
Yeah,
that next week.
that is true.
Anyways, Miami on the road in Buffalo. Buffalo a 2.5 point favorite in this one. It's a divisional game. This is going to be a very, very, very good game. I think both offenses. Obviously, Miami has just been rolling after steamrolling over Denver and then shitting on them as well. I mean, that was embarrassing what happened to Denver last week. But this is going to be a tough game. Buffalo being a 2.5 point favorite at home is interesting to say the least. Um, Miami, I mean, like I said, that offense is rolling. This is going to be a very, very high scoring game. I think. I mean, I'm gonna take Miami in this one though. I think just if Tua keeps playing the way he's been playing, man, there's just no way anyone's stopping this team right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna refer back to last week's episode where I talked about my bets, and I had the Miami money line in this game. I think Miami comes out and wins this game. I think it's gonna be very close though. I think it could be one or maybe even 2 point game at the end here. I think that both offenses are gonna go crazy. I could see each of them putting up over 30 points for sure. But man, I just think Miami's just rolling, man. They look like the second best team in football right now, maybe behind San Francisco, and I have them taking this divisional game.
Yeah, I also am rolling with the Dolphins on this one. The Bills are good and all, but that offense is ridiculous. And like I said, when it was first on, Tua is not in concussion protocol yet. They're going to keep winning games. And, he showed out with, 70 points. So, yeah, I'm taking the Dolphins on this one. And in a close one.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be close. I think obviously both these offenses are really really good. Their defenses are also fairly good, but I mean, yeah, this is going to be a really really high scoring game. Uh, First toilet bowl of the weekend. Denver on the road in Chicago,
Oh,
and 3.5 point favorites on the road. I'm taking Denver in this one. I mean, look, I trust broke ass Russell Wilson and Super Bowl winning coach Sean Payton way more than I will ever trust. Blind as a bat Justin Fields. I mean, Chicago's defense is horrible, but that offense, especially being led by Justin Fields, there's just no way that. I mean, this is going to be a very bad game, but I think Denver easily wins this one.
yeah, man. So you have special teams, and then you have special teams like these two. Um, yeah. So this is just gonna, yeah, like you said, the toilet bowl, man. I think Denver though takes this. I, like you said, trust Russ a lot more than I will Justin Fields. The Bears stink. I mean, the Broncos stink too, but at least the Broncos I think can put up some points. Their defense isn't shit. They gave up 70 points last game, but um, the Bears, I don't even know how they're going to score a touchdown, man, with Justin Fields. So I'm taking the Broncos.
Yeah, you put it really well, Mike. It's a great point. The special teams, but yeah, Bustin Fields, he's not it, man. Just continuing the curse of OSU quarterbacks not succeeding in the league. But
Yeah,
yeah, Broncos on this one. I'll take the money and run with the Broncos.
yeah, I think yeah, you said it perfectly. Just take the money and run with them. Ravens on the road at the Browns. Cleveland a 3 point favorite here. Um, Look, the Browns are a lot better than I think really anyone expected. They would be this year. And the Ravens coming off a really tough loss against Indianapolis, which shouldn't have even happened. Yes, I know they had a ton of injuries on both sides of the ball, but that's a game you have to still win no matter what. Indianapolis is so ass. How did we allow Indianapolis to be 2-1 this year already? Um, but yeah, I'm taking the Browns in this one. I mean, the Ravens are struggling, and oh yeah, Lamar Jackson's still garbage.
Yeah, man. I think this is going to be a really close one. I could see the Ravens taking this just because, I feel like they're a team that always, is doing well. And, you know, I feel like they've had the Browns number in the divisional games for the past few years. But I'm going with the Browns here as well. They just have surprised me. They've been one of the most surprising teams this year. I thought they'd be middle of the road, mid. But they've actually been pretty solid, man. I would say they've been a borderline top 10 team this year. So I'm going to roll with the Browns, especially because they're at home too.
Yeah, I don't know. I was kind of shocked to see that the Browns were favorited in this one. But yeah, it was like looking into it. Apparently, they've got the number one defense in the league right now. We'll see how that holds up, against Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. I do think I take the Browns. I don't know if they cover by 3 though. I think it's tight.
Yeah, if Deshaun Watson can just be, he doesn't even have to be good. If he can just be decent enough, I think the Browns can win this one very easily. Well, obviously, I have to wait and see, but I think honestly, if Deshaun Watson can be at least decent and put up some points, and the Browns defense has been cooking so far this year, I think yeah we could very much see the Browns win this one. Pittsburgh on the road in Houston, favored by 3 on this one. I'm going to take the Texans though. They've been, their offense has been rolling a little bit as of lately. They got a big win last week over Jacksonville, and C.J. Stroud might be that OSU quarterback that finally ends that streak of OSU quarterbacks just being garbage in the NFL. They their offense has been pretty productive as of late. So I'm gonna roll here with the Texans. I don't believe in Kenny Pickett either, so there you have it.
Yeah, I'm also going to take Houston here, and that's crazy because Houston I think is still one of the bottom teams in the league. But man, viewers, I just do not have faith in them in this game. Kenny Pickett, like you mentioned, man, I just don't trust him. I take C.J. Stroud over him. I think that he has another big game, throws for over 300 yards, and yeah, I think it will be close. Though I could see this game being 1 to 2 point game, or even going to OT at some point. But yeah, I'm gonna go Houston.
I like Houston, but I think I'm going to go with Pittsburgh on this one, just because who they have beaten. I mean, sure, they beat the Raiders. That's not really much. But they did beat the Browns, and they put almost 30 up on the Browns. The Texans are not the Browns defensively. Offensively, yes. They're better than the Browns, or close, I would say. C.J. Stroud, I believe, can break that curse. Not right now. I'm going to take Pittsburgh on this one, in a close one.
I mean, that's understandable. I mean, there's a lot to think about on this one, but I just think C.J. Stroud right now is a much better quarterback than Kenny Pickett. So the other toilet bowl for the week, Minnesota on the road in Carolina. Carolina without Bryce Young again, so I think this is the week where Minnesota finally gets it done. They're 4-point favorites as well, but I think this is going to be a pretty close game. Kirk Cousins hasn't been playing very well. They're 0-3 already in one-score games, and they lost to the Chargers. So I mean, you lose to the Chargers. I think you're pretty bad, but I do think they'll actually win this one. Carolina's got nothing on either side of the ball, so it's going to be a very, very close game either way. But I'm taking Minnesota.
Yeah, I got Minnesota as well, man. I actually don't think it's going to be close. I think Minnesota runs away with this game. They are definitely by far the best 0-3 team. And it was crazy how this week both the 0-3 teams matched up against each other like this. Minnesota, though, I think handles this no problem. Oh, my God. Jared Goff just threw an interception.
Gotta love it. But yeah,
First
I'm
fucking play, man.
Minnesota on this one. Because, yeah, no Bryce Young. Panthers are kind of mid to begin with.
Yeah. Rams and the Colts. LA coming to Indianapolis. This is an even game. No, there is no favorite. That said, I don't believe in the Colts at all. I think Gardner Minshew is also starting, so that ain't good. And the Rams just as much as they also suck. This is the Colts should not be 2-1. I think both teams should be about 1-2. But man, yeah, this is going to be a very, very close game, I think. But I think the Rams just barely pull it out.
Yeah, I think so, too. I think the Rams take this one over the Colts. Again, I think it's going to be close. Stafford looked horrible last week. But I definitely trust them a little bit more over the Colts right now. Even though the Colts have pulled out some wins here, I'm going to go with the Rams.
I don't know. I think I'm taking LA. But it is Gardner Minshew. That's the reason why, I guess. If it was Anthony Richardson, I might take the Colts.
Yeah, that's fair. So two teams that are both fraudulently 2-1. The Bucks and the Saints, a divisional game here. Saints favored by 3. It's a home game for them. I'm gonna stick with the Saints in this one. I think they're a lot better of a team than the Bucks are. Then that's not saying much because both these teams are pretty bad. So it's going to be a close game again. But I'm taking the Saints in this one. Their offense is, I think, a little bit better. And I also just don't trust Baker Mayfield still.
Yeah, so I'm actually going to go with the Bucks on this one just because, man, the Saints 17-0. They lose 18-17 last week. That was just awful, man. They don't deserve to fucking win shit, man, after that. I think, though, it's close. They're both not that great of teams, but I'm gonna go Tampa Bay here. I think they take the upset on the road here.
Yeah, I think I'm also going to go with Tampa Bay. Just because, I don't know. You got Jameis Winston in there right now for the Saints. I don't know. He's back. I don't think he's going to be able to do it. He's going to be feasting on more L's than dubs this year.
Look, it's going to be a close game, but dude, I just don't trust Baker Mayfield. And both these teams fraudulently have 2 wins, so yeah. Eagles and Washington are playing. Philly at home is a 9-point favorite. I think everyone here kind of just agrees Philly's winning this one. That defensive front on Philly is incredible, especially with Jalen Carter. He keeps getting better every single game. And obviously their offense is really good too. So, I mean, yeah, Washington not really doing anything on either side of the ball. They have 2 wins this year somehow, but yeah, dude, I'm taking Philly in this one, and they cover by a lot.
Yeah, man, Philly's for sure winning this game. I mean, no explanation really needed.
Yeah, I'm going with Philly, and I think it's a repeat of last week for Washington. It's not going to be good. They're going to be lucky to score that last-second field goal or whatever it was.
Get embarrassed.
Philly by a mile.
So here's another toilet bowl, really. The Bengals on the road in Tennessee. They're a 2.5-point favorite. I'm going to take Tennessee though in this one. I think this is a trap. I think this is a trap game. This is the kind of game that this team likes. It's gritty. Both teams aren't that good, and I think Tennessee ends up taking this one. And Joe Burrow's still not 100% either, so there's a lot of question marks there with what he can do.
Man, I gotta disagree with you on this one, man. I gotta go with the Bengals, man. I can't trust Tennessee on anything, man. I can't trust them to win, man, against Cincinnati with the talent they have.
Yeah, Ryan Tannehill or Joe Burrow. I'm going to take Joe Burrow on this one. He hasn't been really playing that great as of late. I still think it's time for him to have a good bounce-back game, and this is it.
Yeah, it's... Look, I can easily see Cincinnati winning this, but I think this is a trap game for Cincinnati, and they fall to 1-3 here. Raiders and the Chargers. Chargers at home, laying 5 points to the Raiders. I am going to take LA in this one because I mean, it's a home game. The Raiders are awful right now, and they beat Minnesota. So I mean, look, they got a little bit of momentum going for them, and not to mention, their defense, in Vegas is just horrible. I don't even know where to begin with on that one. And I think Justin Herbert is just gonna pick them apart.
Yeah, man. You know me with the Chargers, man. I don't know, man, if I can trust them, man, in this game. Honestly, man, I don't know. Because I did take the Raiders for sure with the points. I think that the Raiders will cover this game. But I will go with the Chargers, but, take that with a grain of salt, man.
Yeah, see, the points was another issue for me for this one. Because, I could see the Chargers winning, but I could also see the Raiders covering at the same time. Because 5 for the Chargers, that's pretty big. No offense to the Chargers, but, yeah, it's a home game. Justin Herbert, he's pretty damn good. I still think 5 points is too much for the Chargers.
No, I think Vegas does cover in this one, but I do think the Chargers end up squeaking it out like they did last week. Dallas hosting the Patriots. Dallas a 6.5 point favorite, obviously coming off a pretty embarrassing loss to the Cardinals of all teams. I mean, how do you do that when that's the team that's like purposely out here trying to tank? Um, I am gonna take Dallas though. I mean, as much as that loss sucked, I still think they are one of the top teams uh, in the NFC. So yeah, I'm taking the Cowboys all the way in this one.
Yeah, I think so too, man. I mean, they got to bounce back after that embarrassment loss. Man, they got to come out and play well. So I'm definitely going to go with Dallas here.
Yeah, I like Dallas on this one. Patriots aren't the Patriots of old. So, yeah, I'm taking Dallas on this one. They got to come back from that tough loss.
Look, and Bill Belichick, just send him to the moon, man. He's
Put him in the home.
yeah, yeah. Put him in the hole. It is time, man. Uh, Niners hosting the Cardinals divisional game, favored by 14 points Sunday afternoon. Uh, yeah, I think we all agree. Just the Niners in this one. I think we could just skip over
Yeah.
everything on that. The Niners are just so good. I mean,
Yeah.
and like you said on Tuesday's episode, Mike, keep them at number one in these power rankings until someone beats them. I don't think that's going to happen this week, though.
Yeah, good on the
Yeah,
Cardinals for getting the
easy
win
win.
last week. But, yeah, no. This is an easy win for the Niners. 100%.
Chiefs on the road in New York against the Jets, 8.5 point favorites in this one. Look, the Chiefs' offense hasn't been rolling a lot, and the Jets' defense might be the best in the NFL right now. That said, I'm still going to take Kansas City in this one, but I think the Jets cover. And reason being is, like I just mentioned, the Chiefs' offense hasn't really been able to get rolling anywhere. And then, the Jets' defense is, again, super, super good. I think, the Jets will keep this kind of close. But, yeah, I'm taking Kansas City in this one.
Yeah, I think Kansas City too is going to handle this one. Not sure if the Jets are going to start Trevor Siemian or Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson's been awful. Let's go Lions touchdown. But yeah, KC in this one.
Yeah, I don't. I gotta. Every time I talk about the Jets, my mind always first thing goes to number one, Sauce Gardner, because the Detroit product. It's just him and that defense. They're gonna keep them. They're gonna keep this team in it, regardless of who's at quarterback. Whether it's the bum Zach Wilson himself or it is Trevor Siemian. I don't see their offense being able to keep up with Patrick Mahomes. If it was Aaron Rodgers, I still think Kansas City takes this one, but it would be closer. I think Kansas City will probably win this one by 10.
Look, I just, like I said, their offense hasn't been able to roll at all, and they and they're facing one of the best defenses in the entire league right now in the Jets. So I think it'll be a little bit closer, but I think the Jets will cover on this one. I think we'll see Chiefs by a touchdown. And then lastly, Monday Night Football, Seattle on the road against the Giants. A 1 point favorite is Seattle. I am going to take this. I am going to take Seattle in this one. I think the Jets are just horrible, and the Seahawks are obviously a favorite to win their division. So yeah, I think easily the Seahawks win this one, and I don't think it's going to be anywhere close either.
Yeah, I think so too, man. I was reading earlier in the week the Giants were favored, but I guess now the Lions shifted to Seattle favor, which they should be. I got Seattle in this one.
Yeah, Giants, what the fuck are y'all been doing, I thought they would be halfway decent considering the performance they did last year, but yeah, I got to take Seattle on this one. They're coming up. Geno Smith, let them cook.
Look, last year the Giants were frauds. let's be honest here. They won a lot of games that they probably shouldn't have last year. And they're showing it this year that they are really really bad. So that kind of covers the NFL previews. We're gonna do a little bit of a blitz here. I'm gonna discuss some teams, or I'm gonna call up some teams, and you guys are gonna tell me if these guys are gonna be buyers or sellers by the trade deadline, and kind of just defend your point of what you think. So first team coming off a bad win, a bad loss against Indianapolis is Baltimore.
Um, so we're saying buyers or sellers for Baltimore here. Um, I will buy Baltimore here.
Yeah, I agree. I'm thinking, they have a chance to win this division. Every other team outside of the Browns is looking, pretty meh. But, Ravens aren't doing too bad. Obviously, they have Lamar Jackson at quarterback. They don't, as of right now, they don't need an upgrade because they won't find one. OBJ, Zay Flowers, a wide receiver. I like that if they're still in. Mark Andrews a tight end, obviously. Maybe, Justin Tucker had a miss. You don't need to replace him. Obviously, one of the best kickers in the league right now and in the history of this league. But I don't know. If anything, I think their defense might need a little tightening up. Other than that, they might be sellers depending on where they're at. If Cincy comes back.
I think Baltimore are sellers here. I mean, if they lose the next 2, maybe 3 games, you have to sell. I mean, Lamar's not the answer for Baltimore. They need a quarterback that can actually throw the ball, and Lamar's not that guy. But I think Baltimore should be sellers here, especially if they lose the next few games. The Buffalo Bills, buyers or sellers?
Man, this is tough because after the first week I would have said sellers, because their window was closing, but now they kind of look like they're they still got a chance for that Super Bowl. I'm gonna say buyers, man. I think that they try and work out some things here. We'll see though. I could see though them going on a cold stretch and then becoming sellers. Their window's definitely closing. You only get, unless you're the Patriots, you only get maybe 4 or 5 years to be in that Super Bowl contention window, man. So we'll see.
Yeah, I was kind of in the same boat of maybe being sellers earlier in the season, or hell, even in the preseason, because obviously you have the revamped Dolphins. Aaron Rodgers was on the Jets and predicted to start, so obviously that division is very tough. So I could have seen them losing 2 or 3 divisional games just right there. But now that Aaron Rodgers is out of New York for the season, I think they're going to end up being buyers, particularly on the defensive end. But yeah, I think they will end up being buyers to end up maybe even competing to steal this division from Miami. But other than that, they're going to be a buyer.
Yeah, I think they're going to be a buyer as well. I mean, their quarterback is still in their prime. Josh Allen's still in his prime. They need a little bit of help on offense, I think, more than they do defense. But that said, I think even if they lose the division to Miami, they're still a playoff team. It'll be unfortunately a wild card team for them, but I think I think there will be buyers at the deadline. There's just no way, unless they suddenly start to shit the bed. There's just no way. Cleveland is next on this list. I think personally they're going to be buyers as well because they've been really surprising so far this season and pretty damn good.
Yeah, so kind of crazy how so far I've said all 3 teams are going to be buyers here because I think Cleveland's going to be a buyer as well. Similar to Baltimore, man, they're kind of in that position where they're good enough to be a playoff team, and if maybe they get a couple more solid pieces, they can push into underdog Super Bowl contenders here. So we'll see what they can do. Cleveland's looked very solid so far in this season.
Yeah, if you would have asked me at the beginning of the season, I would have said the same thing. They're sellers because it's the Browns. I'm a Lions fan. I've grown up a Lions fan my whole life. I know the deal. Oh, it's kind of like the Cowboys fan. This is our year. This is our year. We're going to be better. We're going to be better. No, you're the Browns. But no, they're not the Browns anymore. So yeah, they're going to be buying. They're going to be looking. They might. Hell, honestly, I would not be shocked to see Baltimore and Cleveland do a deal to get Deshaun Watson into Baltimore and Lamar Jackson out of Baltimore. That could be interesting to see. Obviously, is Cleveland going to pick up that contract? Probably not. Well, obviously, if it depends on how Deshaun Watson's playing as well.
Breaking news: a penalty was called because Hutchinson actually got held. They actually called a penalty for it. This is the first time this has ever happened in the league. I am shocked. Look,
yeah, that's definitely breaking news on that one.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's the first of the season out of like 60.
All right, so the next team I got here is Dallas. What do you guys think? Are they buyers or sellers here?
I mean, they got to be buyers, right? They got to go all in. I mean, Dallas, is always expected to win, so they can't be sellers, man. Especially with the players they have and losing Trayvon Diggs to injury, they got to be buyers.
Yeah, losing Trayvon Diggs pretty much solidified them as buyers. I mean, they went out and they did, I would say, a significant chunk of their shopping earlier in the season, getting Trey Lance. So, you don't have to look up for a backup for Dak, because obviously what he was doing at the end of the Cardinals game, his mind wasn't there. I mean, obviously they had Cooper Rush still, but having, Trey Lance there. They had the defensive, still there even without Trayvon Diggs, but I still think they're going to buy for defense.
Look, if I'm being honest, man, I think Dallas should be sellers because there's no way this roster's winning a Super Bowl or, even making it out of the first round, I don't think. Honestly, Dallas should try and just tear it down. I don't think Dak is going to get you anywhere because he keeps making stupid mistakes, especially in the playoffs. So, yeah, I'm going to bundle these two teams here because they're actually playing right now. You got Detroit and Green Bay. Are they buyers or sellers here?
I'm going to go Detroit buyers. I mean, this is, again, they're building a great team. I'm not sure, though, if they're going to be. I feel like they're trying to build a lot through the draft, and they've done so well doing that so far. We'll see, though. I definitely feel they should be buyers. Green Bay, I'm going to go sellers. I know, like I mentioned with Dallas, how they're always expected to win. Green Bay is the same way, but if Green Bay starts struggling again this year, and Jordan Love looked really good the first game, but that was against Chicago. Now that he's played a couple more games, he's starting to come back down to earth a little bit. And if he's not the answer, man, I mean, you got to blow it up.
Yeah, I'm gonna go for this one. I think I agree with Mike. I am neutral on the Lions, and they're the one team that I can 100% for a fact say that they will not be buyers or sellers at the deadline because they want to see what they have and they want to grow their talent. Granted, sure, Dan Campbell's head coaching decisions are kind of iffy at times, but Brad Holmes, man, that's a hell of a GM up there. Whatever he's doing for drafting and everything like that, it's phenomenal. So I think I'm going to trust him on that one. I think the Packers do end up selling. Because right now I'm looking at this game right now, and yeah, they don't look too great. Jordan Love's been sacked like twice, 3 times. He's not looking great at all. He's not moving the ball. The only reason they got the 3 points is because Jared Goff threw a pick.
Yeah, I think both these teams are actually going to be buyers at the deadline. I think Green Bay will be a sneaky wild card team in the NFC because let's face it, no one from the NFC South is going to be making it in, so we can rule that out. And no, or for as a wild card, I should say. And same with the NFC West. So I think realistically, in the NFC East, you'll have obviously Philly winning the division. And Dallas will make the playoffs as a wild card. Atlanta is I think will win their division, and then Seattle winning theirs. So you'll have Detroit, who's obviously winning their division.
Wait, you have Seattle
Wait, you
winning their
said
division over
Seattle,
the
the
49ers?
Oh no! I am not thinking right now. No, the Niners. Yeah, the Niners are winning the West.
Your plug's number if you think the
Yeah,
Seahawks are beating the 49ers.
Brainy no worky right now. I got distracted with football on my screen. Yeah. So the Niners win the West. Detroit wins the North. Atlanta wins the South. And Philly wins the East, right? So you still got 3 wild card teams here. Dallas obviously is going to make it. I think Green Bay could sneak in as that 3rd wild card team. They're not a horrible team. Obviously, they're getting their asses handed to them right now by Detroit. But I still think they could sneak in easily as that 3rd wild card team. And then Detroit, look, I think what Detroit needs is a piece opposite of Hutchinson on the pass rush. And then maybe another deep threat, because I don't know if Jamo's going to actually be able to, do anything, especially after having such an abysmal camp and preseason and getting injured and now out on ice for 6 weeks because of a suspension. But I think Detroit obviously will need to find a deep threat receiver because St. Brown can't do it all.
Yeah, I was gonna say I saw something. I don't remember where it was, but I was scrolling some social media, and they were talking about how the trade deadline is around the Las Vegas game, and they were like, "So what if we make a move to swap JMO and a pick for Devontae Adams from the Raiders?"
That would be crazy.
And I was like, as much as I would hate to see JMO go, I would take Devontae Adams in a heartbeat.
No. I keep JMO, but just get another deep threat to pair with him is kind of what the Lions need to do, because JMO will open up the deep threat ball game for us. I just think get another piece, so now you have 2 guys that are deep ball threats that a defense is going to have to cover, and that's going to be lethal to try or for any defense.
Yeah, that's understandable. Like that's why I was passionate about keeping DJ Chark for this season, because we saw what he did last year for the deep ball and Jared Goff. So having him next to JMO, that leaves Amon-Ra St. Brown in the slot just free.
Right, and then you also have Sam Laporta too. So I mean, the Lions,
what a stud he's turned into.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So
What's going on
that does it with that blitz. So we're gonna get into the top 25 matchups this week. Tomorrow night, Utah on the road in Oregon State. Oregon State is actually favored in this one by 4.5. I'm just calling it right now. This is going to be a rematch later this year. I think both these teams are going to make that Pac-12 title game. I don't think Cam Rising's playing this week, so we'll have to wait and see on that. But that said, I think the Beavers actually might sneak this one out.
This is going to be such a close one, man. Because I think Utah's the better team, but yeah, they're dealing with injury at quarterback, and Oregon State's at home. I think I'm going to go Oregon State as well. But, man, I thought Utah, at the start of the year had a sneaky chance, man, of making it far. But if they lose to Oregon State, man, I think their college football playoff chances are kind of down the drain at that point.
Yeah, I really see a close one here, too. I kind of fuck with Oregon State a little bit here, just because, like you said, the quarterback is, there are injuries out there for Utah at the quarterback position, and it's like Oregon State is a sneaky good team. I think the 19 spot is a little low for them, but still, it's kind of crazy to see that they're favorited there. But I think I'll go with Oregon State on that one, on the upset.
What's interesting about this matchup, too, obviously both these teams are ranked. And Utah obviously dealing with a lot of these injuries. Oregon State coming off a very close battle with Washington State last week. But I think this is one of those games where it's just the Pac-12 is not going to get a team into the playoffs because it's just going to start cannibalizing itself like it has done in the past, 5-6 years now with the playoff. Um, just gonna quickly scroll through a couple of these games where there's super heavy favorites. Michigan on the road at Nebraska, favored by 17. I think we all agree.
Mhm.
Michigan wins that one. Penn State on the road at Northwestern. Penn
Yeah, Penn
State
State's gonna
favored
run away on that one.
26.5 point favorites. I made a bet earlier this season. It was over under Northwestern wins. Win total is 1.5. I bet the over, so I got some good money out of that, and it was like I think it was like plus 300 odds for the over on that, so pretty decent money there.
They had
Jeez.
plus 300 to win 2 games.
Two games.
Plus 300 on the over for 1.5 games.
That's
Wow.
crazy.
Yeah. So I hit that.
That's straight disrespectful, right?
Yeah, I know. I was like, this is.
Giving away free money.
I was like, this is a fucking no-brainer bet right here. Northwestern, as bad as they are, I think they could sneak out 2 games easily, and here we are.
Do they have Michigan State on their schedule? They could probably steal that one.
They
No, they don't.
no, they don't. USC 21.5 point favorites over Colorado. Colorado obviously got humbled last week after being absolutely fucked by Oregon. I think that's going to happen again this week. Again, I don't believe in Coach Prime at all. I don't believe in that team. That said, USC's defense is garbage, and I've seen fourth graders tackle a lot better. I've seen fourth graders a lot less scared to tackle too, because a lot of these guys on that USC defense are afraid to tackle. It's just arm tackle after arm tackle there. But I think obviously Colorado's defense ain't shit, and Caleb Williams is just gonna fucking throw 500 plus yards. I think because yeah.
Yeah, USC's got this easily, man. Colorado, I do think, is a solid team. I don't think that they're garbage by any means, but yeah, they got humbled big time last week by Oregon. So I think USC is the better team. So I think that they're gonna win this one.
I don't know. I'm looking at that USC defense, and I'm looking at how Deion Sanders can make these kids play. Obviously, they didn't play against Oregon, which is why I think they show up this week. I think they steal it away from USC this week. This is where USC goes down, and the Pac-12 loses the playoff team.
Look, the only way I see only advantage Colorado has in this game is that it's a home game. I think that's the only advantage that they have. Outside of that, Shedeur Sanders is not going to be an NFL quarterback by any means, and this team is just not good. Florida on the road at Kentucky. Kentucky favored by 1 in this one. Florida obviously being ranked number 22 after having beat Tennessee 2 weeks ago. I think Florida could win this one. I don't think Florida is as good as people think. That said, I think Kentucky's very overrated as well. I know they're not ranked right now, but I think Kentucky's like a pretty overrated team.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Florida as well on this one. They are always, even if they're ranked kind of low or not doing as well, they always seem to pull off some sort of upset, and Kentucky only favored by 1. I'm going to go with the team I trust a little bit more, that's had more experience in, bigger games with Florida.
Yeah, I'm looking at this Kentucky schedule right now, and their 4 wins aren't looking that very impressive. Ball State, no one. Ball's not a state. Eastern Kentucky, wow, nobody. And then Akron. So you beat 2 MAC schools so far, and a nobody school. And then you beat Vanderbilt, but you still let Vanderbilt score 28 on you. So.
I mean, Vanderbilt's pretty much a fucking MAC school. I mean, let's be honest here.
They might as well.
like, come on now. Georgia's on the road at Auburn, 14-point favorites in this one. I think we all agree Georgia's, As good as they are, I don't think Georgia covers though because they have yet to cover yet this season.
Man, Georgia's got to cover eventually, man. I think I'm gonna go with them this week. Give me Georgia, man.
But are you taking them to cover as well or no? Because I'm not.
Yeah.
Because Auburn's a lot better of a team than I think people will give credit for.
I mean, yeah, this is definitely their toughest game so far. But I mean, they gotta start covering here eventually, right? I mean, we'll see though. But I think Georgia's gonna have no problem here. Ooh, what a nice catch!
Yeah, I don't know. It's a rivalry game, kinda. Because I mean, it's Auburn, Georgia. It's not like Auburn, Alabama, but it's still a hefty game. I still don't think Georgia covers because of that.
Look, plain and simple, if you can't cover against Ball State and UAB, you're not going to cover against a much better school in Auburn.
Very fair point. That is a very fair point.
Texas is hosting Kansas, number 24 versus number 3. Texas is 16 and a half point favorite in this one. What have I been saying, guys? Texas is back. Texas is winning this one handedly. I don't know if they cover necessarily because Kansas is a lot better than I expected them to be this year. And yeah, I mean their offense is really really good, but that said, Texas's defense has been phenomenal.
Yeah, Texas, man, definitely have them in this one.
Yeah, like you said, the Kansas has been kind of surprising. They've been ranked the past couple years, earlier in the season, obviously, having really great starts. I think they started 5-0 last year, like 5-1, something like that, and they're 4-0 this year. I mean, last year they beat Texas. I think this year it's a different story in Texas, obviously being the number 3 school in the nation. They're going to play with something to prove in this one. I think they take this one pretty handily, and I think they do cover.
Just to rehash on something that we talked about on Tuesday, I think Texas is the best team in the country right now because Georgia and Michigan haven't done anything to prove to be the number 1 school in the country right now. Where Texas has gone to Tuscaloosa and beat Bama on the road. I mean, and then also beating. I know it's Baylor, but they also handed Baylor their ass on the road as well. So I mean, Texas has gone out and proven that they should actually be at number 1, whereas Georgia and Michigan, not even top 5 for either one, I'd say. Mizzou, funny seeing them finally be ranked for the first time in fucking forever. Playing the MAC school Vanderbilt.
Fucking reverse.
Right.
Holy shit.
13 and a half point favorites here over Vanderbilt. I think we all agree Missouri is going to win this one. Vanderbilt, like I said, is pretty much a MAC school. Yeah.
Yeah, Missouri on this one. Vanderbilt, the MAC school. It's not.
I mean, they pretty much they might as well be in the MAC or like the Sun Belt or whatever the fuck. the AA
way too tough for them, buddy.
Right.
Wherever the fuck they're at, I don't even know.
Number 13 LSU on the road against number 20 Ole Miss. LSU's favored by 2.5 in this one. Someone's got to lose this game. Someone's got to go fall down to 3-2. And I'm gonna take Ole Miss in this one actually. That said, LSU is, I think, a more tested team than Ole Miss is. So I think it can go either way. But I'm very high on Ole Miss this year. I know they had a struggle against Bama last week, but I think they'll bounce back and beat LSU.
Man, these two teams, man, I think they're both pretty solid. It's definitely going to be a close game. I'm going to roll with the Tigers, though, man. Give me LSU, man. I mean, they're just they somehow find out ways to win, man. I know they haven't had the greatest of years so far, but I'm going to go LSU.
Yeah, I also like LSU in this one. Yeah, they got embarrassed week 1 by Florida State, but Florida State's one of the top 5 teams in the country right now. So that, although it wasn't really expected, at least on my part, it's understandable. But Ole Miss is Ole Miss, and they find ways to lose SEC games that they probably should win. So LSU, baby.
Yeah, that is a good point. They do find ways to lose games that they definitely should win. I'm going to roll through these next few games because they're ridiculous favorites. Oregon over Stanford by 27.5. It's a road
Yeah,
game.
those
It's a
numbers.
road game for Oregon. It is just a no-brainer. Oregon, Oklahoma hosting Iowa State as 20-point favorites. Again, I think we all agree. Oklahoma, Washington on the road against Arizona as 19-point favorites. I think that's just unfair to Washington. They should be 25 point
That's what I
favorites in
thought,
this one.
25.
I know Arizona's not that bad this year. They're 3-1 right now, but Washington's offense is just incredible. Um, so number 11, Notre Dame on the road at Duke. Uh, Notre Dame's favored by 5.5 in this one, coming off a very not difficult loss, but a very emotionally difficult loss for Notre Dame against OSU. Um, Look, Duke has been really impressive this year. Obviously beating Clemson, but outside of that, their other three games haven't really been against anyone good. But I am actually going to take Duke in this one. I think, as much as Notre Dame wants to bounce back, Duke has just been rolling.
Man, this is going to be tough, man. I'm going to go with Notre Dame, though. Duke has had some solid games this year. They beat Clemson here earlier in the year, but I think Notre Dame's going to have to bounce back after that Ohio State loss.
Yeah, I don't know. Looking at Duke, I mean, obviously, yeah, beating Clemson by 21 week one, shock. Next game, they beat Lafayette 42-7. The next game, beat Northwestern 38-14. The next game, 41-7. So they've been putting up the points. They've been running up the scoreboard. And
Yeah.
obviously, they've only given up 14 points max to Northwestern. So the fact that they held Clemson to 7 points, less points than Northwestern, you know, kind of shows you something. I also will take Duke in this one.
Yeah. Tennessee's 12-point favorites at home against South Carolina. I think we all agree here. Yeah, this is Tennessee's game really to lose. South Carolina not that good. Um, Bama on the road against Mississippi State, 14.5-point favorites. I think we can all agree Bama is going to win this one. Mississippi State is fucking horrible, man. And then, lastly, I forgot this team was ranked. Fresno State somehow is ranked. They're number 25. They're playing host to Nevada, who's 0-4, and Fresno State's a 24.5-point favorite in this one. I think we all can kind of agree on this one as well. Fresno State
Mm-hmm.
wins easily.
I mean, yeah, looking at who Nevada's lost to this season, they lost week one to UNLV. And then they got
Ass.
torn to shreds by USC. And then they lost to Idaho. And they didn't just lose to Idaho. They lost by 27.
Idaho
They
or
lost
Idaho?
33 to... No. Shut the fuck up. Anyway, but yeah, 33-6 to Idaho. Come on now.
And that's I don't even know if Idaho's even an FCS school because I didn't know Idaho was. I thought the only school in Idaho was Boise State. So I mean, yeah,
It might be a D2 school.
they might be. I don't know, man. And then so that kind of wraps up that. We'll preview Michigan State for local people here. Iowa at home against Michigan State, 12.5-point favorites. We were talking about this before we started recording. Man, this is. I don't even know if Iowa could put up 12.5 points anymore. Their offensive coordinator now needs to average, I believe, after that embarrassing loss this past weekend, I think they need to average now 29 points per game the rest of the year. Not looking good. He's gonna lose his job for sure.
Yeah, that's real disrespectful to Sparty there, having Iowa as double-digit favorites. Like, I know Michigan State's not good by any respect, but Iowa, they're lucky to even score double digits, let alone be favorited double digits, you know?
Right, and that's what I'm saying.
Hmm.
Real quickly, speaking on MSU, obviously, I think it was Tuesday. Oh no, it was yesterday. Um, MSU terminated Mel Tucker's contract. Alan Haller dropping a fucking bomb on Mel Tucker. Like one of my favorite lines from that. Hold on.
Let's go.
Um, there was a line that was in this letter written to Mel Tucker. Here we go. As a university previously stated, it is decidedly unprofessional and unethical to flirt, make sexual comments, and masturbate while on the phone with a university vendor. Just they put Mel Tucker in a body bag, and now Mel Tucker is about to file is trying to file a lawsuit against the university for wrongful termination, but it wasn't wrongful. You
You
broke your
got caught
morality.
eating your meat
Yeah, come on, man.
on the phone. Yeah, you're done.
You broke
You got
you
caught.
breached your contract.
4K no less. Like you're done.
Right.
Like EDP, you're done.
You breached your
You're done.
you breached your contract. You have no case.
Yeah.
Like
Go ahead and log off for me.
bro, you're not gonna do anything. Um so yeah, and then the college football playoff committee has said that they're holding off on the 12 team playoff right now until the Pac-12 or I guess Pac-2 situation kind of sorts itself out. So what do you guys take away from that, from basically having a delay in us having a 12 team playoff?
Yeah, so I have been for the 12-team playoff. I just feel like it'd be a lot more exciting to see more teams involved. Of course, I feel like when they expanded it out to four, people definitely got more hyped up with more games here. I think that it gives more teams a chance. Because basically, if you lose one game, you're out of the college football playoffs. So I've always been a fan of expanding it to 12. Like you said, though, with this Pac-12 change, and then I think it's like USC, UCLA, all moving to the Big Ten. How is this going to affect the playoffs moving forward and conferences being all shaken up? Hopefully, they can figure it out, man. Implemented sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of them putting it on the back burner until the Pac-12 is resolved. I think if they could have figured something out to get it done in the Pac-12's last year, just so maybe the Pac-12 could have had a chance in their last year to have competitors in the college football playoffs. But I also understand it at the same time because money and college football's dying. You got to find a way to keep the fire going. Like Plankton said, don't let the flame die out. But college football's already dead. They're taking a Molotov and throwing it on a pile of ashes at this point and trying to stoke the fire.
Yeah, I don't know what Washington State or Oregon State are going to do. I mean, if you demote yourself down into a conference like the Mountain West, who has extended invites to both those schools, you're not going to make the playoff as those teams because you're not going to be playing anyone in your conference schedules. So I think they want to figure out something to where at least those two schools would still have a chance to make that 12 team playoff, and I think that's like the biggest thing that the committee wants to figure out is where are these two teams actually going to go, and then also finding ways so they at least have a chance to make the playoff eventually. It's going to be obviously a lot of time still to figure out where these two schools are going, but obviously if they stayed in a two-team conference, having at least one of them make the playoff seems still stupid, because it's a 12 team playoff, but you're like conference winners are obviously going to make it. But that said, I think what would be interesting and maybe make the playoffs a little bit even more fun would be every single conference winner automatically gets a bid, no matter if they're ranked or not. For example, like having the MAC winner go on into the playoff and having the Sun Belt winner go on into the playoff. I think that would make the playoffs very, very interesting. It obviously never happened, but what do you guys think on that?
I think that's interesting for sure. Giving incentive to winning the conference and um, getting like all of the different conferences together like that. But I feel like it could be kind of a situation like in the MLB this year where the AL Central is just so fucking bad. It's like none of those teams deserve to make the playoffs, and the AL East, all five teams are great, and there's going to be teams that are missing out. So I feel like people would complain about that for sure. But I would like seeing that representation though throughout the playoffs there.
Yeah, I like it, but here I am thinking, it's like I just lost my train of thought because of the game. Holy shit! But no, honestly, I think anything they do for college football at this point, it's just gonna keep driving the stake even further and further into the ground. You know, if they're gonna do anything, obviously the 12-team playoff is a start, and obviously, I think it was just something to keep. You have the top four teams, yeah, but most of those top four teams, how many times do we have, Alabama, Ohio State, or any iteration of those teams, Clemson, Florida State, almost every year. It's like any other sport. You get tired of seeing all of these teams, constantly and constantly going there. It's like people got tired of the Warriors always winning the NBA. People got tired of, the Patriots always winning the NFL. It's like you want to see some disparity. You know what I mean? Obviously, 12 teams gives you the opportunity like that. And it kind of gives you, keeps you in that same, area of, college sports are more, they're bigger in the playoffs than they are for professionals. Because, obviously, for college basketball, you have the whole big 64-team tournament. In the NBA, you don't have 64 teams going at it. That'd be ridiculous. So I think it's nice to kind of give these top 12 teams instead of, the top four. Because then, you're not sitting there and you have, obviously, this SEC Big Ten bias everywhere across the board, which is why you have these teams like Texas and Oklahoma going there to the SEC to help get that bias. But now it's like, they're expanding to 12 teams. They probably could have stayed in the Big 12,
Right, and that's the other thing too is especially because both these teams are kind of resurging over the past year or two. This is they could have both dominated the Big 12 for the next whatever years, but they left mostly because at the time the Big 12 didn't have a TV deal where the SEC did, and they wanted in on that. It's why UCLA and USC said fuck the Pac-12 because we can't get anything done in terms of a TV deal, and went and joined the Big Ten, and now here we are. Now we have Oregon and Washington also joining because they want in on that TV deal. And look, college football, like I said, is dying. It is the regionality is out the window. We basically have three super conferences now between the SEC, the Big 12, and the Big 10. The ACC is obviously holding out. They still have a TV deal at least, but they're not getting anyone really to join. Obviously, for some reason they got Stanford and Cal and SMU to join because nothing says Atlantic Coast Conference like Oakland, Dallas, and San Francisco.
Yeah, I'm surprised
Nothing
SMU didn't go
says
to the Big 12.
nothing says Atlantic Coast like those three cities, but whatever. Like I said, the regionality is now out of the window because you have all these West Coast teams playing in the Big Ten and the ACC apparently. But yeah, look, the 12-team playoff will still be interesting, I think. But yeah, I understand why the committee's kind of holding off on talks about it because of the situation right now, especially because of Washington State and Oregon State both just not having a conference right now. So that kind of wraps up that topic. Mike, you said we have a huge trade that happened in the NBA, so I'm gonna let you take it away.
Yeah, man. So huge trade here. This was the talk of the offseason for the first couple months. It died down heavily, and then just kind of out of the blue, yesterday actually it happened. Damian Lillard finally getting traded here. He got traded to the Milwaukee Bucks here. So very interesting to see now him and Giannis are going to be on the same team. Man, that is a deadly combination here. He had been wanting to go to the Heat here. And there's reports now that, after they kind of said that they couldn't really find a deal with the Heat, that he would come back to the Trailblazers, and they basically told him that, bridges have been burned, I guess, to where, there was no way that he was going to be coming back, that they were going to trade him. And they trade him to the Milwaukee Bucks here. So, yeah, this is a big trade here in the NBA. Lower is still probably top 10, maybe top 15 player in the league. He is getting up there in age, but he is a lethal threat, man. He is basically like Steph Curry, man. He can shoot it from all over. But yeah, I'm just going to be going over the trade here. It was a 3-team trade, actually, between the Bucks, the Trailblazers, and the Suns here, and going through each of the players that each team got. And then I'll ask you guys as well if you guys have any thoughts on it and how you would grade each team for how they did on the trade. So, of course, the Bucks receiving Damian Lillard, the superstar of the deal here. The Trailblazers received DeAndre Ayton from the Suns, which, is very interesting to see here because Ayton just signed that big contract with the Suns, and the Suns were sort of building that super team. But Ayton finally gets moved here. Drew Holiday from the Bucks was the big player that the Bucks gave up for Lillard here. A 2029 unprotected first-round pick, and then 2 pick swaps in 2028 and 2030, and then some random player, Tomani Kamara, a bag of chips basically, going to the Trailblazers. And then the Suns in the deal received Grayson Allen from the Bucks, Keon Johnson from the Blazers, Nasir Little from the Blazers, and Yusuf Nurkic from the Blazers. So, yeah, from going over this, man, I think that Milwaukee, this is an A to an A-plus deal for them. They were already in win-now mode, and now they just added another superstar to the team. Lillard and Giannis are going to have a field day. They were able to keep Chris Middleton on the team. Bobby Portis is great off the bench. Brook Lopez is a solid center. They got just a monstrous starting 5 here. The Suns here, I think, also did really well. They got off the DeAndre Ayton contract. They added Yusuf Nurkic, who is going to bolster their rebounding and even give a little bit more defense, I feel like, on a cheaper deal. And added players like Nasir Little and Keon Johnson, who they were lacking so much in their bench because they had gotten Bradley Beal from the Wizards. And, of course, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker as well. So that helps Phoenix a lot. I would give them an A as well. The Trailblazers, man, I'm going to give them like a C on this. I feel like they could have gotten more for Lillard. They basically got 3 first-round picks. Drew Holiday, who's a really solid player. Ayton, and then Kamara, who was kind of just a throw-in. I think the Bucks definitely won this trade. Suns definitely came out as winners as well, getting themselves involved in this. Trailblazers, it could have been worse, but also could have been a lot better for them. So that's kind of my thoughts on the trade here. I want to pass it to either one of you guys if you guys have any thoughts on the trade here.
Ian, I'll let you go first here, just because I'm not going to pretend I don't know fucking shit about basketball, but I do have some things to discuss here about that in a second. But I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I was gonna say I was kind of shocked to see Dame Lillard go, to Milwaukee of all places. But yeah, from what I've been reading though, one of the other pieces in that trade, Drew Holiday, apparently might still be up for trade.
Yeah, I did see that as well. That
And
he,
that's interesting to me still. So it's like for now Portland has them, but it's like obviously if he's on the move, where does he go? Does he go to obviously a competitor probably, so maybe the Clippers, maybe the
yeah,
Pelicans, the Sixers, the Heat even? But,
yeah, honestly, yeah. I did see that too. There was posts, and it was actually really crazy with Drew Holiday as well. I forgot to mention this. I believe it was like a day or two before this trade went down. He was asked about his thoughts about Milwaukee and staying in Milwaukee, and he said, and I quote, "I am a Buck for life." And that did not really age too well as he was
wow, that's
traded
shitty.
moments later. So it just goes to show, man, there is no loyalty in professional sports, man. But yeah, I just thought that was crazy seeing that he really wanted to stay in Milwaukee and they just kind of trade him away. Kind of felt similar to what DeMar DeRozan went through in Toronto. Being loyal to them and then making the trade for Kawhi Leonard back a few years back.
Yeah, I mean, he might end up like Kawhi a few years back, but I guess only time will tell. It's definitely interesting to see, though, that he's getting sent in a big trade like this and is still on the market. I just don't think I've ever seen something like that. Or if I have, I can't remember it. So
Yeah, like another because I there's probably been times where role players have gotten moved multiple times, but yeah, like Drew Holiday is a solid player. He's probably top 25, 30 player. He's definitely one of the better defenders in the league. So he's definitely got a lot of value. There's definitely going to be teams that want him. So we could see him moved again. So it'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, what's interesting to me is kind of just not from someone that doesn't really do basketball. What I see a lot though in these trades is a lot of 3-team trades happen in the NBA all the time. Whereas like you compare it to hockey and you almost never see a 3-team trade. Even like the NFL and the MLB to a point, you don't really see a lot of 3-team trades, except for really just in basketball. Is that something that you think is just more unique to the NBA? Is that a lot of these deals are 3-team trades?
Yeah, so I just think that the NBA does it because it's really hard for teams to just come to a compromise between players, so they have to put in a third team so they can kind of get some more role players and other names moved around and kind of work out the cap in that way. So I think it's just easier to navigate with a third team. I feel like even that secondary team, like in this trade, Lillard was of course the hottest commodity in this trade, but even Phoenix, who it wasn't the focal point of the trade, they still came out getting some solid pieces on their team. So I think that teams are more incentivized to be in these 3-team deals because even if you're not getting the main player, you can still get solid pieces for your team, being like that secondary trade partner.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And then lastly, you said the two of the picks that were swapped was a 2028 and a 2030. Is that correct?
Yeah. So
So
yeah.
I guess my thing on that is like in the NHL, teams only look 3 years in the future. Like you can't make a trade really for anything beyond 3 years in the future. So for example, like this year, you're not going to see any picks for beyond 2026. You're only going to see for 2024, 25, and 26 in any of these deals. So I also think that's just kind of interesting that the NBA, you're sending off picks for that far down the road, and I wonder if there's really any reason for that.
Yeah. So I'm not too sure why the NBA does it. I mean, I feel like the reason they do it that way is because Milwaukee with getting Lillard is going to be good for at least the next 3 to 4 years. So they don't want those picks because they know those picks aren't going to be as high in the draft. So they want something further out where they're kind of hoping Milwaukee starts being bad. the classic example I bring up is the Brooklyn Nets and Boston Celtics deal back in 2013, when they traded Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce away to the Nets. The Celtics got back picks that were like in 2017, 2016. So yeah, like 4 years down the line, and those ended up being Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, two of their best players that they built their championship team around. So yeah, the NBA, they do that, man. There's so many picks that go like 5, 6, or even 7 years into the future, man.
Yeah, that's just wild to me that they trade out picks that far out because like when you look at it with like the NHL for example is like you trade let's say a first round pick 2 years down the line, you're still more than likely going to be a playoff team, so those picks don't really matter to you because they'll be lower down in the draft. But if you're trading out something 8-9 years down the line, by then you might be out of the playoffs, especially in the NHL with how competitive it is, and you might want those picks back at that point. So it's just kind of interesting to me to see how the different dynamics between the two sports are, and when they send out picks or what year they have those picks out for, which again to me it's just interesting just to observe that dynamic.
Yeah, and I'm not too sure if hockey, if they do this, but in NBA, a lot of the times they'll do like protected picks. Like, there's like lottery protected picks to where if the picks in the lottery, then that team doesn't get that pick, or like top 3 protected. Does the NHL kind of do something like that, like where it's protected, or is it all unprotected?
Yeah, no, they do have protected picks. Like when like for example, this year we traded Tyler Bertuzzi to Boston. But yeah, the Red Wings traded Bertuzzi to Boston in a very ballsy move by Yzerman, I must say, to sell when they were still in the playoff hunt at the deadline. But that is top 10 protected coming into the 2024 draft. So if Boston somehow falls out of the playoffs and so far down that they have a top 10 pick, it's going to be it will be Boston's pick, but there is some compensation to that. Obviously, I believe it turns into like a 3rd round pick or a 2nd round pick for Detroit. So yeah, you see a lot of protected picks. You don't usually see lottery protected picks, just more so just if wherever that lands, if it lands in the top 10, then that's protected or whatever. So yeah, they definitely have a lot of those protected picks. But the best that pick could for Detroit would be pick number 11 in the first round, which God, I really hope that happens, but I don't see that happening with Boston this year. As good as they were this past season, they're going to fall off. But yeah, so that kind of wraps up that section there. We're going to get into our last segment now, and it's going to be all about Miguel Cabrera. He's coming into his last series at home of his MLB career. I think he's tied, or he's in the top 25 for home runs now. And where is he, Ian? Do you know exactly for home runs and hits all time?
I believe he is 25th, because I know he just tied Mel Ott for home runs, and he was close. I don't know if he has passed. I think it was Cal Ripken on the hits list. He was a few off of him. So, but right now, let's go to Google. Let's see. Just where he's at comparatively.
I think. I think he is. I think he has 25 all to himself. Let me.
Okay, so he's 16th in hits right now, and he's got that all
Right.
to himself.
Right.
He's got 14 more to pass Ripken Jr., and he's not going to get that. But to
No.
get
Yeah.
within 14 hits of Cal Ripken Jr. as a known power hitter is
Yeah, and
absolutely ridiculous. You know,
Cal
he's a
played like every game too.
Yeah.
yeah.
But anyways, I just kind of obviously Miguel Cabrera he's first ballot probably Hall of Famer. I think we can.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's
I think.
without a doubt.
I mean, he's
Greatest player
such
of
a
his
nice
generation.
dude. He is such a like everyone every player in the league just they like Miggy. You can't hate the guy, no matter even like in his prime years where he was just killing everything, the Triple Crown. You know, he's just such a
The one
genuine
Triple
dude.
Crown. He had
Well,
two
yes,
Triple Crown worthy seasons, and he was a pointed
yes.
up Chris Davis away from being the fucking first player to
Yes.
ever win two.
Well, yes,
Yeah.
but but even then, you could never hate the guy.
No.
You look like all these players, like they just couldn't hate the guy. He was such a genuinely nice person. But I want to know what is like your favorite Miggy moment of his career.
Oh
Man,
man, it's
there's
gotta
so many
be.
to choose from.
There's too many to choose from, honestly. But I think it's gotta be the Triple Crown securing, because that's just we're probably never gonna see someone do that again. And the fact that that man ended up being a player who now has 3,000 career hits, 500 career home runs, you know, is being put into the conversation of the likes of Hank Aaron and all of them. That's a hell of a respectable guy right there. But yeah, I still think him winning the Triple Crown is my favorite moment because it's history.
Yeah, man, and something that I want to bring up that you kind of mentioned with him being in the likes of like Hank Aaron and that he's one of 7 players, including Hank Aaron, Albert Pujols, Willie Mays, Eddie Murray, Alex Rodriguez, and Rafael Palmeiro, to have 3,000 hits and 500 home runs. So that was just amazing. And like you said, man, the Triple Crown, that was just such a good moment, man. That hadn't been done since 1967 when Kari Yastrzemski did it. It was something that, we thought might never be done, again. That's so tough to do, man, to lead an average home runs and RBIs all in the same season, man. Crazy. But yeah, so I would say that is one of my top Miggy moments. And then another one I want to bring up that is just very iconic is the Miguel Cabrera, Mariano Rivera in the playoffs. I don't know if you guys remember that face-off between the two of them.
Yeah.
Oh, and Miggy
When
took him deep to take it in that
Miggy took
innings.
him deep.
That's
to
the
man.
battle of legends right there. That's a Hall of
Yeah.
Fame. That is literally a man who was elected to the Hall of Fame as soon as he was eligible. And Mariano Rivera, one of the greatest closers of all time. Even
I'm
as a
pretty sure
Tigers fan, like I can admit that as a fucking Yankees player, great closer.
I'm pretty sure, too, Mariano was the first player ever to be 100% unanimous elected to the Hall of Fame as well. He's undoubtedly the greatest closer ever, and Miggy just getting the better of him, just so crazy to see,
Just
man.
nonchalantly, too. The way he just throws the bat out for that hit, and it's just like, yeah, that's the deep center field. Yeah, I believe it's in Yankee Stadium. But still, the man has ridiculous easy power.
Mm-hmm. He does.
Yeah, but so my favorite Miggy moment is I was actually at the game where he hit 300 home runs. Back in
Was that where he hit it to dead center
yeah,
field?
he hit it
Well,
damn near dead center field. I was there. I was sitting like I want to say like 20, 25 rows up from the away team dugout. It was against Chicago. It was like late July, but I was at that game where he hit 300, and I mean the crowd was nuts. To have seen that milestone for him. I know it's 200 something home runs later now that he's at, but I mean that was incredible just to watch. To see, I mean, you had Chicago players giving him, a standing ovation as well, because I mean, 300 is, very hard to do over a career,
Unless
and
you're Aaron Judge.
well, yes, but well, it also helps when you play in the shortest outfield. But you know
We're not gonna get into
we're not
that.
gonna get into that
Yeah.
today. Today we won't get into
Today.
that.
That's fair.
But now to that actually, I kind of want to add, how many home runs do you think Miggy would have hit if he did play for the Yankees?
Oh, he would average
Man, over
45 a year.
600.
He'd average
Yeah.
45 a year minimum.
Because you got to think, how many just warning track shots at Comerica Park has he put out? You know, you got to think. If he played for the Yankees, man, he'd easily be, I'd say, close to 700 because of just
I'd say he
Yeah.
might be in the conversation.
how many
Very
warning track shots he's had in Detroit. You gotta at least think with that. With how many shots he's had there to the warning track. In New York, those are home runs all day. Same with Boston. It's incredible to just think about just what he could have done on a different team. I mean, I'm glad he was in Detroit because I'm a Detroit fan. But it's just something interesting to ponder on. Is what could he have hit if he played for a team in a much shorter outfield?
I mean, even if he would have stayed in Miami
In
instead of
Miami,
coming
yeah.
over with when him and Pudge came over, and like even that was the thing because as a an outfielder, I never really looked to outside of the outfield for like players I would want to mimic, but Pudge and Cabrera, both of them, a catcher and a first baseman, are just like, yeah, those are two players I would always want to watch. 'Cause it's like fluid hitting. They're always on top of their game. I mean, obviously Pudge Rodriguez, Hall of Fame catcher, arguably one of the best to throw anyone out running. But Miguel Cabrera, here we are. A lot of people didn't expect anything from that trade from Miami, and I guarantee you, if they're dead, they're rolling over in their graves, and if they're not, they're eating those words.
Yep.
Because like you're witnessing living history right now.
Yeah, it's
Comparatively to the rest of the league, out of active players, Cabrera was over 1,000 hits on the next closest person. We probably won't see a 3,000 hitter again. Freddie Freeman might be able to do it. Jose Altuve, maybe if he keeps producing. But I really don't know if we'll see another 3,000 hit, 500 home run hitter for a while.
yeah. I
Yeah,
don't know
man.
either, man.
Unless
It's
Ronald
hard.
Acuna Jr. just goes on a fucking
Yeah.
winning streak for the next 10, 15 years. And granted, a 40-70 season from him, we got to talk about him at some point.
I
But,
know, man.
That's it's just insane what they're doing now.
Yeah, man. I'm pretty sure that Joey Votto is like the next closest, and he's still like a ways off from 3,000. It's going to be a while till another active player hits 3,000. I mean, it's only been done, I think, like 27 times, and also with the 500 home runs, only been done 7 times in history of baseball. It's going to be a while, man. He's got the counting numbers. He's got the stats, man. He's done it all, man.
So
Yeah,
even when you
And
add
he
the,
won a World Series with Miami, so I mean, I
Yeah.
wish he could have won one in Detroit, but he did win a
and
World
he
Series.
went twice with Detroit though,
Yeah, he did. He did go with Detroit in 2012.
or did
Yeah.
did he not go in 06 when Maglio walked him off? Was he not?
I
part
don't
of the
think
team
he was
then?
in Detroit then. I don't know if he was in Detroit by then.
I
It might
believe
have
he
been a
was.
season or two after.
I believe he was in Detroit at that point.
He was in 2006. Okay.
Yeah, I thought the trade happened like in
I
2000.
thought they traded
Hold
from,
on.
like 04, 05. Like after it was the 04 season, I thought both him and Pudge left after the World Series.
So hold
Or it might
on.
have been Pudge came first and then Cabrera came after. I don't think they both came over at the same time. I'm not 100% certain on
Yeah.
that though.
Um,
So I think Pudge was a free agent acquired, and then Cabrera was a trader. One of them was one. Not 100%.
So let's see
sure,
here. So it's
oh, it was in 2007. So no, it was. So
Okay,
yeah, no,
yeah.
that wasn't when Maglio walked him
still.
off. But still, yeah.
You went with Detroit, and I mean, outside of an iffy Giants team at best. I mean, granted, two of the best starting rotations in baseball went head-to-head that year. And obviously San Francisco got the better of the Tigers lineup. But, like, even just to sit there and think, like, looking back on all those players, Madison Bumgarner, Max Scherzer, Justin Verlander, Tim Lincecum, Pablo Sandoval, all of those players are leaving or gone now. Miggy, Justin Verlander, Max Scherzer, last of their kind.
Yeah, I mean, the sport has changed so much since these guys really entered into the league. Like you said, I don't think we'll ever see a 3,000 hit, 500 home run guy ever in the MLB unless we bring steroids back.
Right. And then you can add 300 doubles on top of that.
Right.
When you do that, there's only 3 names.
Right.
And it's Hank Aaron, Albert Pujols, and Miguel Cabrera.
Yeah, exactly.
You're on a list with one other person and Hank Aaron. That's saying something. That other person is Albert Pujols?
Yeah, it's insane. It's insane what he's done in his career, and you
do it in Comerica.
Right.
For the most part. You put up 2 Triple Crown worthy seasons in Comerica Park.
Yeah, not a batter friendly park at all. And
as a power hitter, no less.
Right.
You led the league in average as a power hitter. You are a career 306 hitter.
Yeah, exactly.
Power hitter.
In Comerica Park for most of your career.
Park.
Like,
this is why I will go down saying that Miguel Cabrera is the best right-handed hitter I have ever laid eyes on myself.
Is he the actual GOAT, though? That's the real question.
Statistically speaking, no. Because obviously the stats for other players out there, like, we all know Ty Cobb, Babe Ruth, all of those guys. Ridiculous stats that they've put up. But, like, to even be in the same conversation as some of those guys, I think that's good enough, Because obviously, they played in a different era, Babe Ruth and Ty Cobb and all of those older guys did. Where, sure, the joke is, any bum could just walk off the street and get a pro tryout and, pitch the next day. But at the same time, Babe Ruth was also chowing down hot dogs and smoking during the game. And they're not doing that anymore.
Right.
If they did that now, they wouldn't be performing nearly as good as they were now. But, so it's like, you have to give these past players respect. But even still, to have someone compete and put themselves in that area, close enough for him to, take a rock and throw it and he could hit one of those, vintage players.
So
it's ridiculous.
Is he the greatest Tiger of all time, though? Now that's a different question.
You got people like Al Kaline and Ty Cobb up there. Like, Ty Cobb is up there, and I think Ty Cobb will stay up there. Cabrera's, like I said, he is the best right-handed hitter I have laid eyes on physically in a game myself. Simply because I have seen him win a Triple Crown. I went to probably the most games I've ever been to in a season was when he won the Triple Crown. And it's like, you have to. You got to watch that. But I still can't sit there and say he's the best Tiger in history. Because Al Kaline, Ty Cobb, those two right there. Just ridiculous.
And you can't forget about any of the guys on that 84 team either.
Nope. Like Mark
Alan
Fidrich.
Trammell.
Yep. Trammell. Yeah. I mean, but
I would probably take Cabrera over Alan Trammell overall.
Yeah, I would too.
Oh, I think anyone would, but you got to give credit to those guys too. But right, but regardless, man, look, Miggy, I hope like he loves the city of Detroit. I really, really hope he becomes like the batting coach for the Tigers. That would be like perfect. Because
we're gonna see Spencer Torkelson hit 45 next year.
Right, and he hit 30 today. So I mean, exactly, there you go. Yeah. But I mean, look, I think, if Miggy does actually become the hitting coach for the Tigers, I think the Tigers batting, because let's face it, the Tigers batting right now is fucking abysmal. Outside of Riley Green and Spencer Torkelson.
Hey, don't you dare shit on my boy Kerry Carpenter.
I mean, yeah, him too. But outside of those three, there's nothing there. But I was reading like an article earlier today about like just like guys on the team, just stories that they had about Miggy. Earlier this year, Miggy struck out and he went up to Zach Short and was like Shorty, where's what am I looking at? Like, what am I doing wrong? And then Zach Short just goes, bro, you're asking the wrong fucking person. Like, just it's just stories like that, man. It's just like, Miggy is like a professional at heart, and he's gonna be very missed by every single Tigers fan. I think by every single baseball fan too. I mean, you saw it every single road trip. Standing ovation for him at his at bats. It's just it's something. You're not going to find players like him, man, to do what he did and still be as humble and wholesome as he was his entire career. It's you're never going to find a guy like that. They don't make them like that anymore, really.
They don't.
Yeah, I mean, all the videos of just him interacting with fans. There's one of my favorite ones is when he was had his glove on and he's just feeling the dude's beard with the glove.
Yeah.
Like, how can you not love this guy? Or when he was trying to field the foul ball in, I believe it was Cleveland. And then instead of making the play for the foul ball, he just hugs the fan in the front row. It's like, or, after the game, when they played the Astros, he just walks up to Jose Altuve and just picks him up. It's like,
Yeah.
the guy's got a lot of character, and it would suck to see him not in the Tigers dugout as like a hitting coach or some form of coach or, informant to the game. I think it'd be disrespectful to him for, Scott Harris and, the front office to not even offer him a position,
Yes, I really hope he does stick around. I mean, he said, he wants to stick around. At least he said that in the past. I don't know how if he said anything about it this year or not, but he would like to at least stick around after his career ended. He said that, I think he said something about it last year, saying he wants to stick around the Detroit area. So I think, let him be that hitting coach because, again, the Tigers fucking need a hitting coach that actually knows what they're doing because, shit, man. But yeah, like I said, man, I think we're all going to miss him. His last game is on Sunday this weekend. I will definitely be watching that just to, see him in his last game. So, yeah. By the way, just a score update real quick. The Lions are kicking the shit out of Green Bay 27-3 at halftime.
Yeah, 2.5 favorites my ass.
I almost want to take back everything I said about Green Bay possibly being a playoff team.
Bro, this is abysmal.
Yeah, Jordan Love's looked horrible.
At one point, they had like -1 total yards for the longest time.
They had like 1 yard at the end of the first quarter.
They have 20 total yards. They have 13 passing yards and 7 rushing yards right now. Like, it's not looking good. They've both thrown picks, Jared Goff and Jordan Love, but this Lions defense is playing crazy right now. Desmond Ritter had terrible. Jordan Love is 6 for 13, so he's less than 50%, and he's thrown for 50 yards and a pick. A.J. Dillon has 4 yards. Aaron Jones has 3 yards.
Good job, Lions, man.
Aaron Glenn, you were on the hot seat after the Seahawks game, but god damn.
And no stupid coaching decisions by Dan Campbell, even better. But look, we're over an hour 40 minutes into this one already, so we're gonna wrap things up here. Rate, review, subscribe, help us out, spread this podcast. We really want to get it out there, start picking up more and more fans. Because eventually, if we get it to the point where we have a lot of listeners every single week, we're going to start doing some mailbag episodes where you guys, email us some questions and we'll give you our honest opinions or thoughts or whatever on those questions. But yeah, help us out. And yeah, Ian, Mike, you guys got anything else you want to say?
No, not that I can think of. I think you wrapped it up pretty well.
Yeah, man. I just will say, stay tuned for future episodes here. Definitely Rate, comment, share, subscribe, resubscribe. Send it out to your friends, family, whoever you know, man. Just get the word out there. Make this podcast blow up, man.
Yeah, even go break into your grandmother's phone and subscribe on there. Just help us out, man. All that helps. We'll be back Tuesday reviewing this weekend. Lot of great matchups going on and a lot of toilet bowls too. But yeah, we'll review everything on Tuesday. Ian, again, thank you for being on the episode again. We'll obviously have you on a couple more times as we roll. So yeah, thank you guys so much for listening, and we will see you guys on Tuesday.